Hey guys, it's your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great commentary. Um, this is a subject I've been thinking about for a while, but I didn't make a video about it because, in and of myself, in and of itself, I don't think it's a big deal, and I'm not really passionate about it either way. Um, so it's not like I don't have thoughts. It's just that thoughts on the subject, but it's just that I don't think like it's something that I wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't know like what I wanted to say about it, or like if I cared enough about it to address it. Um, so, but the reason I'm making the video now is, if is not about like the Gaza protests on the college campuses. That by itself uh, wouldn't be enough. It's more about how it impacts American politics. Um, now, like, oh man, you see, that's the thing is like I don't even know where to start with this. So, okay, so right now, if you haven't been following it, there's like these massive protests on college campuses all across the country. Pro-Palestinian. So now, see, I'm not totally sure what's happened. I'm not sure if they're just protesting. It's pro-Palestinian people are protesting on like these college campuses, usually like bigger, like more elite colleges. Um, I don't know if they're just protesting or if they've actually like been physically occupying like the parts of the campus or something. I mean, I would assume that they've been occupying the campus, but I don't know. It sounds like in one case maybe they did, like at Columbia or something. I'm not sure exactly how it's going. Um, so they're doing that, and then now there's like a big police crackdown against these protests. Now, again, I don't know if the police are cracking down because these students are technically trespassing. That is, that they've like set up camp and are refusing to leave, and that so that's why the police are attacking them, or the police are beating them up because this is just shutting down protest. Period. Like the colleges are saying we're not going to tolerate anti-Israel protest. I would assume it's the former, that that it's the reason that the police have been called in is because the protesters aren't moving. They're physically occupying the places. I don't know. I mean, like I know that and this gets back to it. Like the only reason I even know that these protests are happening is because on Twitter I follow a lot of pro-Russian accounts, not because I'm pro-Russian, but because, I want to see both sides of the war in Ukraine. And I really don't trust, I don't, trust the pro-Russian accounts either, but I don't trust the Western accounts, like at all. Like I would think we've seen there that they've just been lying to us for years now, in terms of, like the progress of the war and stuff. So but anyway, so like because generally, pro Russia is pro Palestinian, so there's like a lot of a lot of talk about these campus marches, and that's really the only reason it wasn't for that I wouldn't know about it. Because like the only thing I guess when I check Zero Hedge, occasionally they say something, but I just skip those articles and don't like and don't read it. But I see a lot about it, like I said, on Twitter. So that's the only reason I know about it. Other than that, like it would be just something going on in the background that I don't really have a strong position on. I mean, generally, kind of like the it's like the riots during George Floyd, like a lot of people on it, it gets confusing here. Do you mean like the far right, or do you mean like the Trump right, or do you mean the center right? And like the George Floyd riots, like the Trump right was very opposed to them. But I was like, I don't like I really, I mean, I kind of was just because Trump was in office, but I was mainly more thinking like, well, like, why should I care? Why should we? It's not our problem if the Blues want to destroy their own cities, you know? And, that's like, like, why would we get in? Why would we get involved in that? And that's how I feel about this. Like, if they want to destroy their own universities, why do we care? And, like, I mean, like in like again, that by that I don't it doesn't matter to me. Um, but like I said, what I'm more interested in is the you know how it impacts American politics. And you know, Joe Biden has been very supportive of Israel through this entire conflict. But the fact is, his his base is overwhelmingly sympathetic, with the Palestinians. And now and the most like militant and passionate part of this base are like really pro-Palestinian. And so like yeah, Joe Biden like is not anti-Israel, and he's not he's the opposite. He's pro-Israel and stuff. But like these protests happening, the people in the electorate, whether they agree with them, disagree with them, don't care about them, they associate these protests with Joe Biden because Joe Biden is the leader of the left. It's kind of like how, like, even the, like, back before the public, like, became super against the Vietnam War, they, associated uh, they saw they saw the anti-war protest as a Democrat thing, whether they agreed with it or not, because the Democrats are the party of the left. And just like then, you had like a lot of like a lot of people on the left who hated the Democrats just as much, or if not even more, than the Republicans. Because of the dispute over how the war should be handled. And you see a lot of that with this too. Like I can tell, like personally, I can like my brother is like very very strongly pro-Palestinian. And granted, he had problems with the Democrats and Biden before all this. And he would have problems with them anyway, but he would at least like hold his nose and vote for Biden to stop Trump. I can't see any way that my brother would vote for Genocide Joe. And I'm sure he's not the only one who's in that situation. And but so I know I kind of got off from what I was saying there. So that's like, but whether that's not really what I'm talking about right here. What I'm saying though is that the people are going to associate, no matter how they feel about it, people associate these protests in particular and the Palestinian cause in general with the left. Now, I know that the far right is very pro-Palestinian too, but the far right doesn't really have, like, the true far right, as opposed to like I know Trump is called the far right, but he's really not by like Republican Party standards. The true far right is very pro-Palestinian, but like your Nick Fuentes types have, I don't want to say they have no, well, they don't have any influence in America, but they like, they have essentially no influence whatsoever in the Republican Party. So they like they may be pro-Palestinian, but it's like it's irrelevant politically. Nobody associates the Palestinian cause with the right. They associate it with the left. So like I would say that, and like so I see, because I read a lot of left-wing message boards, and and the main thing that I read the left-wing message boards for these days is for the Russia stuff, is to see where they are with the Russia stuff. And this is one thing that I've noticed. Like, whatever you think about the Palestinians, they have been cursed with the most annoying supporters like in world history. Like so, because I'm trying to read a left-wing message board, right? And like to read something about Russia, or something like political, like with about Biden versus Trump. And the Palestinian people, like the Palestinian supporters, have to come into every fucking thread and talk about Gaza. Now, even if you think that's like the most important issue in the world, that's fine. If you think it's like the most important issue and nothing else matters, okay, that's fine. But then don't post in the threads that aren't about it. Don't like bring it into like, don't like, derail every fucking subject to, make it about, Gaza. And like these people, like, there's the saying, I know, I can't remember who said it. It might have been Churchill. I can't remember. It says like a fanatic is somebody who can't change his mind and won't change the subject. So, and it's not that there's anything wrong with being a fanatic. There's definitely been times in the past where I've been pretty fanatical about things. Like even like for me, I was kind of like that too. I would make every subject about immigration back in like the 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. Like time somebody wanted to talk about something, I would be like, "Oh yeah, well that's because of immigration." So I mean, I would do the same thing. I was fanatical about it. Um, but so I mean, yeah, as obnoxious as I do find the pro-Palestinian contingent, I do. I mean, I guess I can't criticize them too hard for the whole like harping on it because like I said, I've done the same thing in different contexts. So, oh man, sorry, I got totally lost here. But so my position, like when it comes to politics about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, has always been that it's an issue that drives like a lot of passion, and that the people who are interested in it are really invested in it. Like whether you're pro-Israel or pro-Palestinian, they those people or both of those, the people who care like really care a lot, but that the overwhelming majority of people don't care, like more than you'd think. Like I would say maybe in Europe it's a little bit more, but if you take away in America, if you don't count people who are either Jewish, Muslim, or Arab, so they've got a direct stake in it, I would say well under 10% care about the issue one way or the other. And of that group, like less than 10% of that 10% of that, less than 10% of that less than 10% would it affect their vote. Yeah, I do. I mean, there's no question, Joe, but assuming that there isn't a ceasefire by the election day, maybe even then, I don't know. There are going to be like a non-trivial number of people on the left who either don't vote or vote third party or even vote for Trump over the Gaza stuff. Will it be enough to have an electoral impact? I don't think so. What I'm more interested in is the people in the people in the middle who maybe don't particularly care one way or the other about the Gaza situation, but have a real distaste for these protests, like for the chaos and the violence and stuff, largely maybe because they have a distaste for these protesters themselves. Like they're kind of like everything that people on the right and even people in the middle love to hate. And I'm just talking about the demographics. And do they and I think maybe even more importantly is that like any type of lawlessness or chaos, and it's like it gets associated in the minds of the electorate with the left, and rightly so, because that's the left side, and then the left isn't able to keep track on it. Like, who runs the cities? The left. Who's running the border right now? The left. Who's running these campuses? The left. And so you've got some who are, the left, and the left is, unable or unwilling the left that it's in charge, the left leadership that's in charge is either unable or unwilling to get the border under control, to get rid of these campus protests, and to deal with like the ongoing chaos and crime in the cities. Now the border I care about, not as much as I used to, but like I said, to me, I don't care. That the city, I think that the cities falling apart are a good thing. I think that the universities getting destroyed is a good thing. But that's not necessarily how, most people aren't ideological. They're people in the middle, and they're just kind of like, they just don't like it. Like regardless of, like you talk about like all the stuff about principles and, like what's right and how you do that, that kind of goes over their heads. What they like, the people in the middle are just kind of like, they get the vibe, the chaotic vibe, and they don't like it, and they've had enough of it. And now I'm pretty confident that Trump was going to win anyway. But I do think that this is part of what builds into that whole anti-Biden vibe that there is in America, because there is a big anti-Biden vibe. Some of it's a lot of it, mainly it's inflation more than anything else. But it's also the things like the chaos at the border, the crime in the cities, and now these protests, by themselves, not a huge deal. They do have a cumulative impact on the vibe, on the national mood. And that's ultimately what American presidential politics comes down to, is national mood. That's really what it is. I mean, like, yeah, because, most people aren't going to change their vote no matter what. But the national mood does move enough people. Like, there are still enough people who get moved by the national mood that it impacts elections. And this kind of stuff does impact the national mood. Like I said, by itself, probably not a huge deal. Put it all as part of everything else that's going on. Yeah, it matters. It's part of the whole vibe. And the vibe that's going to cause Biden to lose in November. And so yeah, but yeah, going back to that, like, I am seeing more realization on the left that Trump is going to win. I mean, I've been confident about it for like at least 2 years at this point. Like, I mean, well, at least a year and a half at this point. I've been sure that Trump was going to win, and I've never wavered for that for a second. Now, I've gone back and forth over whether I want Trump to win. Like right now, gun to my head, I would say I prefer Biden, because I don't want there's nothing the United States can do to save Ukraine, to save Taiwan, to save the dollar, and to stop like the chaos that's about. I mean, you think the stuff in the Middle East is bad now. It's going to get a lot worse. So when all that's happening, do you want Trump to be getting the blame for it? I don't. Like, I would rather have, I mean, it would be like the most like poetic justice ever. It would be to see like, the left actually have to pay for the situation that they brought about. They broke it, they bought it. That's my position. So on the other hand, it would be good to see Trump win, just to see the liberals chimp out. So it goes either way. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm sorry again. I know this is really scattered. Where was I? I think I had one thing I wanted to say before I signed off. So if oh yeah, so I mean, right, it's like I'm confident Trump's going to win. That's the polling clearly shows that Trump's going to win. The only thing that would give me any pause about the polls is that the polls did overestimate the Republicans in the statewide races, in the midterms. So while I have no doubt in my mind that Trump's going to win the popular vote, but it's possible he could lose the Electoral College. I don't know. And I think a lot of it really depends on where we are with the economy. Like I said, like for all this stuff, I don't think that anything that happens in Ukraine, anything that happens in Israel, anything that happens here with the protest, anything that happens at the border, those things affect the vibes by themselves. I don't see, or even all those things together, I don't see like moving the election one way or the other. What's more interesting to me is the inflation and the overall economy by when we get to election day. I mean, the economy is not just bad; it's clearly getting worse. So it's a question of like right now, if the election were held today, I would say Trump wins the national vote by the popular vote by 2 points. But depending on how bad inflation and other stuff are by election day, I could see that go as high as as high as 5 points. Like that. That's how bad I think things are in this country right now, or how bad people feel about them in this country. Yeah, so I don't know. So we gotta wait a little on that front, I guess. Sometimes the situation is just unclear. That's all for now. See you in the next.